Frankie, before I get your thoughts on the defeat to Liverpool, I would like to discuss Lucas Paqueta. Now, I don't know what you think. I will find out in a second. I thought he was really good against Liverpool. I thought he was our best player by a mile. I thought him and Alexis McAllister were the two best players on the pitch throughout 90 minutes. So Salah was brilliant for 20 minutes, but I thought he tailed off pretty quickly and quite quietly. But I thought McAllister and Paqueta were the two standouts for me. And I just love Paqueta at the moment. I think he's possibly the only player that's improved under Graham Potter. But it could go hand in hand with the fact that his hearing's been happening and now it's been postponed until the summer. But the noises from the club are that they're expecting him to be found innocent off the back of everything and how Paqueta's team presented. I say their evidence. They had people in showing data, and then they had someone in there with all the clips of Paqueta's fouls that should have been yellow cards that weren't yellow cards. So it sounds like they put a good defence together. Now, on the assumption Paqueta was to be cleared and found innocent, and the hearing's supposed to come to a conclusion in June. So after the first transfer window of 10 days, but before the main summer transfer window opens, we will get that verdict. And Kevin De Bruyne last week announced he's leaving Manchester City. And then the third thing, obviously, is that Man City were going to buy Lucas Paqueta for 85 million before West Ham discovered about the investigation. So I do wonder if perhaps Paqueta going to the Etihad will be back on this summer. There's a lot of talk that once this is over, he wants to leave West Ham. I would understand why, get a clean start. And also he might feel like he's had to postpone his career for a couple of seasons as well. But it's a move that in the last couple of days, and when I was watching us at Anfield, Frankie, I was watching Paqueta thinking, do you know what? Maybe he will get his move to Man City eventually. It would arguably be a good thing for him as well. I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, just before I go into one on that situation, your comment about him being better than, or he's improved under Potter. One of the other ones. Do you think he's better currently than he was when he was playing on that left-hand side under Moyes?
Not so much, but I guess I'm referring to the Lopetegui side of it, if you like. I think Paqueta's better under Potter than he was under Lopetegui, whereas, let's say, Bowen, I think Bowen was better under Lopetegui than he was Graham Potter, for example.
Yeah, and the only reason I bring that up is not to try and be a wally about it, but just because I'm still in this sort of situation where it's only like, was it last week or the week before when he played central midfield and it didn't really work out for him and I wasn't that impressed with it. And
yeah, Wolves,
you know, and then
the Wolves game,
and then also, so I'm still not convinced West Ham have found his best position. I'm still not convinced that he is playing or necessarily better football than he was under Lopetegui. I think it's just he might have his towel up again because he feels like this cloud is going to be lifted. I mean, he knows a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
And, you know, his representatives would have told him where they think the current situation is. And they know because they go through this all the time and have been here before with other scenarios. So maybe he's just got his towel up because he thinks he can play football again. I don't know. Because of that, I'm not 100% sure. Like sometimes a ship sails, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we look at players and we think, "Oh, they'd be good for West Ham," and then we discuss them a year later and we look back and we didn't sign them, and then you think, "Well, actually, no, I probably wouldn't now." So I don't know whether we're in that similar sort of scenario for City. Is he what they need right now? I think the Paqueta, when he's on the top of his game, is something that could really inject a bit of life into City right now. Because I watched them against Palace and I know they come through it in the end, but they was looking extremely vulnerable and not very good for that, you know, sort of first half hour. I thought they looked terrible. And is Paqueta the man that I would put in there as the answer to City's problems at the moment? I'm not sure. I think the last thing City needs right now is a player who does go missing at times, who does sort of, it isn't always 100% at it. That's exactly what they don't need. I feel like City needs someone who stands up and is counted and really drags the team forward and can kind of lead. I think what City are missing at the moment is that sort of Yaya Toure figure in midfield, someone who just can get the game by the scruff of the neck, and when things aren't going their way, he can pull them forward. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to, and it might just be me being a little bit I don't know, just on the side of West Ham as obviously I would be, but I want to see him come good. I want him to see him play like he did it in the Liverpool game, and start. I still don't think we've seen the best Lucas Paqueta at any point while he's been at West Ham. You know, he's had moments and he's had spells, and in that European run, that ball in the final, and all those sorts of things. They're amazing micro moments, but has he been the all-out 100% Lucas Paqueta for an entire season? I don't think so. I would love us to find his position. I'd love to see him in and around players like Kudus and Bowen and linking up better. And actually, it's not just Paqueta, it's that whole front three. I'm craving the best of them, and we never seem to get it. And it's so frustrating. So I guess part of me hopes that no, City won't come sniffing around him again if this all blows over. Give us a season with him at least, and let's see if we can find the best version of him, because he's got every bit of talent to be that spark of excitement that we all long and crave for at the moment. If there's any player I guess for me, there's two, and Bowen is Bowen, but if there's two players who will get you on the edge of your seat, it's Kudus and Paqueta. And I'm just not sure we've 100% seen the best of them yet. And I really want to, Gio. So I hope Man City aren't interested.
That's fair. I just think City could be. I think if he does go this summer, he won't be 85 billion. We won't get that. I think you're looking at a half price Paqueta to some extent. But I would completely understand if he's just wants to get away from this part of his life, which includes West Ham, going somewhere else, because he's had greater ambitions, hence why he was going to go to Man City in the first place. And if he turns around and thinks this is my last chance to go get Champions League football, win trophies at a different club, I would understand, and I say forgive him. He doesn't need to apologise. I would just get it. So I could see it happening. I hope it doesn't. And I hope what we've seen at Anfield, I hope we see that for the rest of the season. You know, there's not loads of things to look forward to at West Ham at the moment, but I think if you get that version of Paqueta for the rest of the season, that will bring fun, that will bring entertainment, it should bring goals. And I quite want to see him with Fulkrug ahead of him as well, because he's not going to be doing that through ball for Fulkrug to run onto, but certainly in terms of a bit of a target man on the deck, that is what Fulkrug can provide, and let Paqueta and Bowen around him and bring those into the game as well. So I'm hoping that's what we'll see against. I say hoping, it better be what we see against Southampton. Otherwise, I'm not going to be happy, to be honest with you. But yeah, Paqueta to Man City. I just don't think the story is quite done. I've seen them linked to Gibbs White and Verts last week. Understand why they'd be interested in both of those players as well. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Pep's always loved Paqueta. They've always been cuddly after games, so maybe more to come, perhaps not. In terms of that defeat to Liverpool, what did you make of it?
Oh, Gio, this just the situation, mate, just where we are in the league table now. We're just lucky that the Premier League is the way it is this year, and there's three teams that are so far adrift, or otherwise we'd be bang in it. And being the worst of the rest is just not a nice feeling. It's just, and the record, regardless of whether the result was better than we expected, the fact that we almost got a draw, and we can discuss the fact that we didn't in a minute, and things that I think should have happened for us to potentially see that out at the end now. The record that we've got at the moment, 3 wins in 11, whatever it is now, is just awful. It's just terrible. And we said last week in that second half, you know, there was but doesn't it feel better? And I said no. I'm getting really annoyed with it because it happens all the time. We get to these situations where we just do better in the second half. We've been here before. I've seen it before. And it's like, I just said, I want to see us play from kickoff 90 minutes well before I start to feel better about the situation. And we've gone and done exactly the same again. Had a terrible first half with a lineup that I didn't really think suited the game at all. And then we make changes and we have a good second half again. I'm just done with playing 45 minutes of football every match. It's just really, really frustrating. And it better stop this weekend, because everyone beats Southampton, and we seriously need to show what we're made of this weekend. Because that Liverpool game, I just come away not feeling positive that the game went better than I expected. I actually was just more frustrated because you look at it and just think they were cruising, like didn't even get out of first gear. And, you know, we've caught them a little bit. It's so hard. Football's all about momentum. And they've tried to coast along. Second half, we have done a bit better. We're unlucky with a few opportunities in that second half, but we've got the goal. And then you think, brilliant, we've nicked a point away at Anfield. Like, now just see it out, and that we'll take that all day long. And then a couple of minutes later, we undo all of the hard work. So yeah, just more frustration than anything, to be honest with you.
I think one of the frustrating things for me with that equaliser is that Slot had done his substitutions, but he'd gone more defensive. You know, he took Endo on for Salah. So when we scored, I thought, ooh, they could be in trouble here because they've just taken off some of their attack and gone. And it's like, well, you're now missing that attackers you require to go. It turns out they didn't. They just needed a pretty simple, straightforward routine corner, and bang, 2-1. Is like, oh, right, okay, never mind. Then that 3 minutes was enjoyable whilst it was 1-1. Where do you sit on the Potter barometer? One thing I'm sensing a little bit, Frankie, and I think it's because my opinion on him hasn't really changed since day one. And I think when he first came in and I spoke about my thoughts on Potter, I feel like I received a few body blows from subscribers. Oh, negative, get behind him. I thought, well, it's just my own. And those have gone now. I'm not really getting that anymore. But what I am noticing more is people going, I'm not sure about this guy, actually. And even after the defeat to Liverpool, I think what maybe naively caught me by surprise is because I came away from it frustrated that we didn't. Is mainly the starting 11 that annoyed me because I thought there was no need to not have a striker and there was no need to play Ollie Scholes as well. But regardless, so I was frustrated with that, but I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. I was a bit like, meh, whatever. And I naively thought other people might be feeling something similar. But I actually feel there were some people more frustrated. There was some people almost angry. There were some people I feel getting really annoyed with Graham Potter off the back of that game against Liverpool. Where do you sit on shall we call it the Potterometer?
Yeah, I don't think we're too dissimilar.
Yeah.
I wasn't ever that keen on him in the first place. Like I said, I saw that interview on BT Sport when he sort of was a pundit on one of our games and said, as soon as I saw it, I went, I just don't want that man anywhere near us because I just felt his personality was dull. It was boring. I didn't see this man manager that people seem to think that he is. And I don't think we're now seeing it because I just don't think he's getting the best out of people. Frustrated. I'm probably even more disillusioned with him than I was when I just didn't want him to come to us in the first place. But I always give every manager the best of chances. I always say I don't want us to behave like Arsenal. Arsenal were always the first to get on the manager's back and give them stick and not give people time. So I always feel like I'm very patient. I feel like I was very patient with Lopetegui and gave him the best chance and didn't really get on his back for quite a while. And I do feel that we do need to see the beginning of next season before we start to properly go on the turn. I think it would be really uncalled for us, give him that summer, give him the time to work out exactly what it is that he wants to do. Like I said, I don't think the players that we brought in prior to his appointment for Lopetegui are at all right for the way that Potter plays football. I think we're very much trying to get players to play how he wants to play. And I think Souček has been one of them who's really tried, but just can't do it. And that's it. I do believe, though, Souček, that game was screaming out for Souček to come on in the last 10 minutes of that game. And I was really frustrated he didn't come on. I think, we may get something from that game if Souček comes on that pitch. I know people will find that quite an unusual thing, but an impact player, an aerial threat, someone to just put their foot in and break play up and just really, like you say, Liverpool had gone a bit defensive anyway. I thought it was made for Souček to come on there, and that was the one change he didn't make. So really frustrating. The lineups are frustrating. The way that we're playing is frustrating. Just all round, I don't like it. And I don't look at him and think the noises that you're making, the things that you're saying pre and post match, are not fulfilling me with much confidence either. I listen to some of his stuff and I just think I'm just not buying into everything that he's saying at the moment. So
he almost like immediately after the Bournemouth game, where I enjoyed the second half and we had that goals from Fulkrug, I thought, right, okay. I just wish it wasn't Liverpool next. Hard game, but I came out of that game thinking, there you go. You've cracked it, but what you've just seen there for the last 40 minutes of that game, there you go. Look, we played well. We scored 2 goals. A bit of that, please. And I finished the review of the match, and one of the first comments was, I've just listened to Potter after the game. He said Fulkrug's not playing the next match. So it was like half an hour after the game. I was like, oh, Liverpool next week, and that guy's not playing. That changed the way, it completely changed the game for us twice in a row. And I wouldn't say we did it against Liverpool because I feel like we had momentum prior to Fulkrug coming onto the pitch, but we didn't have much goal threat. And then Fulkrug comes on, bang, header off the. Right, okay, here we go. He's got to start, and this is where, if anything, I was more frustrated. If he's not going to start Fulkrug, part of me thought, well, start Ferguson. I don't want to see Ferguson start, but I'd rather see that than no striker. And putting my own opinion and putting your opinion, everyone put your opinion of Ferguson to one side for a minute. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Graham Potter wanted us to sign Ferguson in January, and we did it. And he's not played him at all. So when we need a striker to come on, it's going to be Fulkrug that comes on. It's not going to be Ferguson. So well, he's never going to come onto the pitch then. You know, he still had he only used 3 subs against Liverpool. He still didn't bring Ferguson on to try and get that other goal. He didn't bring, like you said, he didn't bring Souček on either. So when is he going to use Ferguson? Well, he's not. So I thought, well, what's the point of transfer to some extent? But I think when the 11 came out, I thought, right, okay, you played Scarles, not ideal, because Scarles had been poor against Bournemouth and Wolves and was hooked early on by Potter in those games. So Potter taking him off, to me, is confirmation Scarles hasn't played well in those games. So I'll play him again anyway, although he's up against the best player in the league. Then in no striker thing, you've got to really ignore the evidence of the Bournemouth game, which is we are at our best when A, Fulkrug is on, and B, Bowen is in his best position. And I just feel like he ignored all the evidence of the last 2 games at Anfield. And if this was a one-off game, I wouldn't be that bothered. I'd say, oh, do you know what? On another day, we get a draw. But it's not. It's a continuation of the Bournemouth game, which was a continuation of the Wolves game. And we're recording this on Monday afternoon. Part of me is, I'm not even that confident we will start Fulkrug against Southampton. Now, a bit of my brain says, of course he will. Why won't he? We'll start Fulkrug. You'll get Bowen back in his best position. But there's another part that says, no, I'm not sure you're going to get that. Potter likes Fulkrug off the bench. And if Fulkrug can only do an hour, will he start him and knowing he's going to have to take him off? Probably not. I think he might keep him bring him on at half time. So I don't know. I'm struggling to get myself up for the Southampton game at the minute. And I should be licking my lips. It's the worst team in the Premier League. I'm dreading it. Why? It's weird. But anyway, individual players, Frank, you take your pick for good or bad reasons. I just want to hand the floor over to you. Anyone you want to discuss?
No, just Paqueta. I thought, like you said, you've already touched upon it. He was very, very good. I thought Bowen first half was terrible. I thought he was just really poor. And not for any fault of Bowen's. That's the point. I don't think it's Bowen's fault. How many more times, like you've just said, do you need to see him have an impact massively on the right-hand side? And then when you put him down the middle, it's just not his game. It's just not what he does. It's just something, there's a psychological thing in there that even if Bowen drifts across and he gets a ball down the middle when he's been playing on the right, you just have more confidence in him. When he plays as that striker, when he gets put through and he had a few chances, you don't feel like it's the same Jared Bowen. You don't back him to put the ball in the back of the net. So yeah, it's, Bowen, really tough game for him, a tough period for us right now, to be perfectly honest. And actually, it's quite tough for all of our front three at the moment. For all of, and this is why my frustrations with Potter are becoming increased. And that's because I don't necessarily think Kudus looks like he's not trying. I think he's giving a lot of effort. I thought individually looks great, but I don't think he's playing how we can get the most out of him in the game. Like you said, you have a manager say that a player's unplayable. Well, surely they've had an impact on the game. So they're having good performances. They're trying hard. They're giving it everything. They're looking like they're playing well, but they're still not getting assists. They're still not getting goals. They're still not, so something's amiss because it's not like they're not playing well. They look like they're playing in form, but they're just impact on the game is zero at the moment. So I just feel like that says to me that the manager isn't getting the best out of that front three at the moment. And if we keep doing what we're doing, I'm not sure we're going to see it between now and the end of the season. We've seen flashes of it, and you would think that would be enough for somebody to go, there you go, that's what I need to do. And then we don't seem to see it. So I don't know, it's very frustrating. And on the Füllkrug thing, I've always found it difficult where people want players to have an impact towards the end of a game, because the game can be gone by then.
Yeah,
I always think you're better off starting on the front foot, starting well, get your foothold on the game, and then if you've got to bring them off after an hour, you bring them off. That is what it is. So I don't really understand.
I've been having this argument with some polite arguments. So those that disagree with me have all been polite. They say, no, it's the right thing to do. I won't get it. You can't convince me it's the best idea. I don't. Yeah, I just start with your strongest 11 is always my opinion. I think in some circumstances, when I spoke to Neil, the Liverpool fan, and he was referring to the Champions League against PSG, he said maybe we should have kept McAllister on the bench because there was a potential of extra time there, so we'd have finished with a team that, whereas as they got closer to full time because of fatigue, Liverpool were getting weaker, but PSG were getting stronger. So I was like, oh, if it goes to extra time, I get that, but that's a completely different set of circumstances to the Premier League. So I won't get it. One player I do want to know your opinion on, though, Frankie, is Carlos Soler.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think we can sit here and say it about nearly every single player in the squad. I don't think we've seen the best of Carlos Soler. I think he's a good player. I've always thought he's a good player. I can be. It takes a lot for me to, when a new player comes in, for me to
hard to please is the phrase I'd use.
I can be hard to please, mate. Very hard to please. But I've not been like that with him. I've always thought from the start he looked like he had character. It looked like he was enjoying playing football. I felt like we just have sort of played him here, there, and everywhere, and sort of just used him for whatever we needed, rather than again trying to find his best, way of playing for West Ham. So, yeah, he's another one who's been sort of moved around, played in all different roles and systems and in different ways, and finally, I think we probably saw where he, looks good and what suits his style, what suits him in the team. I actually thought it was good. And we've all been saying we don't like the Ward-Prowse and Souček combination. Well, here's your option. So if it gives us that different option, it gives us better ball playing through the midfield. Plus, he's not afraid to put himself about and get stuck in as well. I liked it. I thought it was a good system for him. I thought it was a good position for him. And like you, I want to see a little bit more of it. I'd like to see him back in that position against Southampton.
Absolutely has to be. Anyway, we're going to leave it there, Frankie. We'll catch up later on in the week to discuss what we want to see against Southampton. Do we go with a back four? And if so, which centre-back is dropping out? I think there's a conversation to be had there after the performances of Todibo, Mavropanos in particular. We'll be discussing Füllkrug starting and how we're feeling against ahead of that Southampton game. But you guys at home, thank you very much for joining us today on this podcast. Please do drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up. It's going to have a chat myself and Frankie. Well, we'll catch you a little later on in the week. We'll see you then.